Hi, I'm back. Time for some English practice. In my today's writing practice, I talked about how we blame other other things without putting our 100%, like without giving our best effort. We start blaming others for not providing us or for not giving us enough opportunities or not giving us information, all that. So the thing is, so when I realized that I can understand English but I cannot speak it, like I started to learn it. So when I started listening to native speakers, I realized that their English is not like the English that we learn in textbook. I was like, though that English is not being taught to us in school or something like that. I don't know if I'm saying it correct or not, but that's the point. That's what I am practicing right now. You know what, how there are institutes that taught you about English learning, like where you can learn you like I am talking about English learning courses. My friend Matiha and Gul, they started an English learning course and they got some notes from there and they shared that notes with me and I started reading them, and in my thought I was like, yes, I will learn the English that native speakers speak from these notes, like these institute that where you go and learn English. That's where you learn how to speak like native speakers. And I was like, that English is not in grammar. This grammar book is here for ages, like I don't even remember since when, but it is here. And I was like, that English, that native speaker English is not in this grammar, like the vocabulary, the words and sentences, like the way they speak. I cannot learn from this. What I mean by that is, whenever I open this book, I always read about like sentences and direct, indirect, and passive voice, active voice, or form of verbs like first, second, and third form of verb, like passive form, past form. So in my mind, in this grammar, that English is not in this grammar that native speakers speak. So what I do is, instead of reading this book, I start learning from that notes, but only for a few days. Then I started watching content like how there are people on YouTube that teach you how to speak in English. I started follow these account. I am getting phrases and vocabulary from there, and I was like, yes, this knowledge is not in the book. One day I picked this grammar and I was going through it, and there is a phrase that I saved on my social account. Like I was like, this is a new information, like I cannot get this information from book. And the same and the same information, like the same phrase was here in this book, like in this book. And I was like, what? Like, and then I came to realize that it's not others' fault. It's my fault. Like I never bothered to read this book completely. Like apart from few things, I never read this book properly. So that's the problem. We do not pay attention. We do not give our 100%, and we start blaming others. And that's what I wrote in my today's practice. So let's do our reading practice. Hi, I am back. Time for some English practice. Sometimes we start blaming others before giving our 100%. We do this in every aspect of life. And I learned this when my English learning journey began. I knew for ages that I could understand English, but I could not speak it. And I tried to fix the gap long ago. I tried different approaches, for example, watching English content, getting notes from institute, and using English learning materials, and talking with friends in English. I would get started to learn English and started. But after a few days, once the novelty wore off, my excitement and motivation would die, and I would stop learning. And I have been repeating this cycle every few months till now. The only thing that remains constant was consuming English content, and that too was just watching without paying any attention. I was watching with subtitles. The silver lining was that it trained my ears. I don't need subtitles anymore. Now I can understand English without them. When I listened to native speakers, I realized the English is not like what they taught us in school. So I put aside the English grammar book I had and started chasing after the notes given by English Learning Institute, thinking that's where I would learn the English native speakers actually use. And I wasn't wrong. After that, I also started following English teaching accounts on social media, thinking that the information I was getting here wasn't even in the grammar. You know what happens when someone is foolish and confident about it? Life takes you right to the top just to make you feel how foolish you actually were. One day I just picked up my grammar book and started flipping through it. And I came across the very things that I had been saving on social accounts, thinking that thinking that none of this was in grammar. You know how when a kid start writing, the teacher holds their hand and guides every letter. Some of us wanted that our whole school life. We wanted the teacher to read every line from the book to us, so we did not have to do it ourselves. And those are the same people who will later say schools taught us nothing. Take me as an example. Instead of reading grammar book, I had collected loads of material, and the funny thing is there was nothing new in that material. And even funnier, I did not learn anything from that material either. So that was my writing practice, and with that, let's call it a day. So bye.